off, and we're having more conversation about the struggles as well as the opportunities and the advancement, I realized I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be in helping people to move themselves as well as their organizations forward.
That's amazing. You said that numbers are your first language, and I didn't know that about you when I first met you. You know, I didn't know your professional work life. To me, your relational skills and your just compassion and heart for people, that was the first thing that I recognized. So I would have said that's your first language, but, you know, I'm so just thrilled for you that you're able to shine the light there and shine the light in your community. Karen.
I really do love that. Active in my chamber, serve on several of their boards. I will be the outgoing chairman of the board from my local area this year. I just really believe, you know, I guess it goes back to numbers and people, that if you help someone, it grows from there. You know, that concept of throwing a rock in the water and watching the ripples continue to grow. It's the same way in business and community and organizations. Help one and you can help. You're probably helping to lift 10 more beyond you.
Yes, absolutely. So would you say a little bit more about some of the challenges you've faced as an entrepreneur, Karen? We have listeners all over the world, and I know that in some parts of the world, just the whole notion of entrepreneurship is huge, especially for some women in certain communities internationally. You know, we have a focus here on women entrepreneurs, but in other parts of the world, we don't have the same kind of infrastructure. And so I'm just curious if you could say just a little bit more about some of the challenges you've faced and how you have overcome them or addressed them.
Sure, I would love that, because that has definitely, male or female entrepreneurship is challenging, but female entrepreneurship is that much more challenging just because it's just not the face of what typically organizations are seen as. And I feel like for me, it took me a little bit longer to find the support systems I needed, and whether that's for me personally or as a female or as an entrepreneur, it's not obvious, and it does take some digging in our neck of the world to do that. So first and foremost, I would say it was critical for me to find groups of people that would support me. So in some cases, it was other consultants who had either done it before or were doing it kind of neck and neck with me to be able to bounce things off of. Typically, and in my world in particular, I work by myself. So I don't have even people to help brainstorm ideas. How do I advertise? How do I market? How do I find who my demographic is? Do I have a demographic? Where's the best place to start? Do I have to do it for free before I get started? How will the people find me? I work from my home. I don't have a store shop. I don't have a sign. You know, all of that ability to break into the market where people can't look you up. And all of that has been kind of, I have stumbled and fallen and scraped myself and picked myself back up. And I say it is not for the faint of heart to own your own business, but it is a grand adventure once you kind of get your feet underneath you, because you are in the driver's seat. But as great as that is, you're in the driver's seat and you have no one else to blame but you. If it's not working, if it's not going well, if you're struggling, if you're not getting out there. So, I always remind myself the coin has two sides. It's the question of which one I turn up today. You have to be motivated. You've got to keep yourself on task. You have to pick yourself up sometimes, brush off your bruised knees and your scraped ego and keep moving forward. But you also have to, because I'm that relationship person, I have found the groups of people, sometimes in chambers, sometimes the consulting group, sometimes just women who are doing what I'm doing that really don't have any other connection to just get together and share the journey so that you don't feel like you're all alone. Like, I have to work all alone in my business, but I don't have to be all alone. Yeah. I can get to the people and get with the people who refill my cup and resurge my energy. And when I go to IMC twice a year, I recharge my battery, remember why I do what I do and why I love it. But I also love to talk to new people. They have different ideas. They have different resources and education about tools that, because I started my business 5 years ago, I didn't know existed. So the biggest thing for me is having those support systems and knowing where to go, and that there's more than one to be able to get me to be the best I can be on a routine basis.
Wow. Excellent advice, and thank you for sharing your journey and the advice around you might have to work alone, but you don't have to be alone, and to create your own support system to make sure that you get fed and lifted up as well. Yeah, so thank you. Very, very helpful.
Absolutely.
All right. And I was laughing as you were speaking because I wasn't laughing at you. Please know that. I was laughing with you. I started my business 20-some years ago and still sometimes revisit that journey along the way because, as you know, your business has seasons, and sometimes you have to go back to the beginning and rethink things. So thank you again. All right. So I know that making memories is an important part of my life, and I know it's an important part of your life, Karen. Could you share a little bit about your, what that means for you and how that plays out in your life?
Yes, absolutely. Well, interesting enough, the timing of all of this is we say God's planned it, but because I have a big family, and they stem from, I have one cousin who lives in California, several in the New Jersey, New York area, and then Florida, Georgia. I mean, you name it, there's probably at least half the states around the nation that I have a family member in. But that makes any kind of event a challenge. So over the last couple of years in particular, and I'm sure for you, Gloria, because it is for me, I would rather spend time with people than necessarily money or things. So just recently, my sister kind of coined the phrase after her daughter got married that making memories are the best gift we can give to ourselves, no less to our friends, loved ones, etc. So now it's kind of a routine that we try to find a way with so many families all over the country to make memories, to put something, kind of on our history books that's either with someone new, around something new, or is an experience that if we didn't intentionally plan it, design it, and make it happen, we wouldn't have that experience, no less share that experience with someone else. So I say that started for me when the John Maxwell team was able to do the training internationally. I have my own little bucket list of items, and one of the things on there was to be able to train internationally. So I went to Paraguay, having never traveled outside North America, no less to a country where English wasn't the first language, never gotten stamp in my passport, never stood in a customs line, never, worked with an interpreter. And I told my sister, I'm like, that was it. That was my first making memories, sharing that journey with other John Maxwell team members, making the connections with the translators, especially so many of them who were young people and were wanting to make a difference in their country and were excited to help us. And it was just making memories. It may be a stamp on my passport, but it's a permanent fixture in my history that is part of the stamp of making memories. My daughter and I planned in 2018 for her 30th birthday to get her stamp in her passport. And she and I took a yoga retreat to Ecuador. And same kind of thing. My husband's born in South America. So even more for us she and I to have a trip together to get to a country that was much more what her dad would have grown up in and around, for her to be able to see that and share that and get a perspective, and also to get out of the view of the United States and our perspective and get to a country, to me, that was similar to Paraguay, where it's about relationships, it's about family, it's about loving life and loving each other, and not as commercialized as we can be. And it's been, first of all, it was a wonderful trip for her and I, just because, again, she'd never been, and I feel like it was like I opened the door of that possibility for her, and now she's decided she wants to travel more. She needs to see more of the rest of the world. She needs to do, and I love that. And, you know, you don't ever want to create their path, but it's nice to be able to say you opened the gate and they decided that's a path they want to continue to travel on. But then to be able to learn a little bit of the language and the culture and the food and the family, I said it gives us such a warm perspective and a different perspective than what we've grown around and in and taken for granted. So it's very much for me, not necessarily just about the place that we travel, but who we spend the time with, how we make an impression, how we give as much as we take in that case, but also that we share something of ourselves with someone else, whether it's the someone we took with us or the someone that we're visiting. I have such vivid memory of that, whereas, you know, if you said, what gift was your thing last Christmas? I don't know. I don't care that I ever know. It's not about that. It's about that making memories.
Absolutely. Well, I know you have just made incredible memories with your daughter, and I'm sure now a deeper impress with your husband, you know, as a result of opening that path for her. What an amazing gift to offer to your daughter at this stage in her life. And you have used the words choice and intention and relationships over and over and over, Karen. No matter what question I ask you, those words seem to surface. So thank you for sharing yourself and those gifts with our listeners. It's amazing. Thank you. Thank you. So I want to ask you about your faith. You've spoken a little bit about it, and could you tell us what your faith means to you, just maybe a deeper dive, because I know that faith and family are both very important for you.
Yes, and I would say I was blessed to grow up in a household specifically with my mom and my mom's mom, my Nana, who went to church every Sunday, and we, sat together in the pew and went through our lessons and our hymns and our peace sharing, and so it was no different than Sunday's dinner with the family and the things that are woven through your life as a standard practice. But it didn't hit home for me until that car accident, in particular, as I talk about not only the physical pain but the emotional pain of hearing people consistently say, you're lucky to be alive. And then there's a little bit of, guilt that comes through the why am I still here? And then the concern that, what if I can't have earned the gift of continuing to be here? So I remember very vividly that summer in tears saying, God, I don't know what you have further on the road for me, but I promise, since these folks did what they did to make sure that I was here, that I will give you the very best of who I am every single day. It sounds easy enough, when you're 18, 19 years old, but until you continue to walk life and see the ups and downs, not only for you, but for family members, for friends, for people who struggle, who have hit the bottom and can't get back up, to see trauma and death and destruction in the world, it's always a breath of fresh air to know that when I get to the bottom again, that all I have to do is ask for his hand, for him to help me stand back up again and keep putting one foot in front of the other. But I am keenly aware that it's my responsibility to live up to what I'm supposed to be here for, but that I know that I would not and could not do anything if I did not have him in my life and could not focus on that every single day. during the good as well
Yes.
as the bad.